What's poppin' T Squad? It's your girl Keisha, and I'm here with tonight's All Tea All Shade Power Season 4 Episode 3 review. So, I got some behind the scenes tea for you all. You know how we've been discussing favoritism with the Angela character in the comment section and on my video. One of my loyal supporters tweeted me this. It was a tweet conversation between the executive producer and writer Courtney Kemp with a fan of the show, and the fan of the show said to her, why wasn't Angela a suspect in Greg's death? She had a key, her bra / things were on the bed, etc. She responded and said, I think people will feel very differently about Angela next season than they do now. Her journey is really amazing. Then another fan of the show said to her, the writers have a big job redeeming Angela. We don't like or respect her. Courtney responded, I'm not sure you need to like characters on the show like this, but challenge accepted. I think you'll change your mind. Alright. I'm just gonna let that marinate for y'all. So as y'all can see, it's not just me saying that there's character favoritism. It's blatantly shown. It's blatantly said by the executive producer of the show, the writer of the show. They try to make this character something that she is not. For what reason, I don't know. I don't get it. I can't even wrap my head around it. It ain't for me, I guess, to wrap my head around it. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Power for me is just not as good as it was season 1 and season 2. I don't know what the hell shifted with this show, but there has just been a major decline for me. It's just, I guess because I'm a writer based on realism, and this isn't giving me that. It's just bullshit with certain things with this show. It's just stupid shit that's going on, and I don't understand it. And to be honest with you, tonight I didn't even want to do a review because tonight's episode was so fucking lackluster. It was a bunch of mumbo jumbo bullshit like last week. A bunch of conversation about probable cause and maybe this will happen and maybe that won't happen. No action. It was only 2 good things out this episode that really caught my attention. Other than that, I could really give a shit about this episode. But for you guys, I will do my review. I'm more concerned about my cute wig that I got on. And by the way, the review on this wig will be up no later than Tuesday. Get your life. She is everything. But okay, enough about my wig and me being cute. Let's get into this review. So we start off this episode with Dre, Julio, and Keisha being taken in for questioning by the feds. Angela is at Greg's funeral, and his homeboy Bailey is watching her from afar. We then are introduced to Terry Silver, who is going to be second chair on Ghost's case. He comes in to see Ghost by Ghost's surprise because Proctor didn't even tell him that this guy would be working on his case. So Proctor shows up and introduces them both. Terry asks Ghost to go over what happened the day Greg was murdered so they can come up with an alibi. Ghost has an attitude and don't even want to talk in front of this Terry nigga because he don't even know if he can trust this motherfucker. He eventually opens up and starts talking. Ghost looks at the murder pics and all that shit, and he sees a phone in Greg's drawer that wasn't there the day he broke in. He realizes that he's being framed, but still doesn't have proof that this phone was planted. Tommy drops Tariq and Raina off at school, and he asks Tariq to stay back for a second because he wants to know what's going on with him being disrespectful to Tasha. Tariq says he doesn't want to help his mom or his dad, and that Ghost probably did it. He says that Ghost lies about everything, and he's probably lying about this whole case and him not supposedly killing this FBI agent. So Tommy says he does lie a lot, and I don't always trust him either, but he's not lying about this. And Tariq basically tells him family just isn't that important to me. And gets out the car and goes into school. X is questioning Julio, and Sandoval is questioning Dre. Julio plays dumb, and Dre acts like a straight-laced employee. Julio says that he isn't a part of the Toros gang anymore. And remember that part because that part is very key. Julio, I feel like, is going to drop a dime on them, and that he still is very loyal to this Toros family. And as far as death this season, I think that Dre will die. I think Julio will get knocked off, and I think something's going to happen to Keisha as well. Angela, we then see, is questioning Keisha, and Angela asks her, since your friend so long, did Tasha tell you that she sold her wedding ring? And Keisha says, if that's what it says, I mean, bitch, what you asked me for? I don't know everything this bitch do. So Angela said, you know, basically you can either talk so you can get back to your life, but if you don't want to cooperate, I can't help you, bitch. And Keisha said, you already know the answer to these questions. You know why he moved out, and you know why she sold her fucking ring. It's because of you, bitch. Anybody got time to play these silly ass games? She Puerto Rican. This is my new favorite wig. Let's talk about this wig. It's my new favorite. She is so cute. Yes. And normally bob wigs look very cheap and tawdry, but not this one. Come on, hair. So Proctor and Terry are questioning Keisha about what she said to Angela at Tasha's house, and Tasha got an attitude and tell her, shut your fool mouth, you shouldn't have said shit. And Keisha says that she didn't say anything bad. Keisha wants to know why Angela was asking her all these questions about Tasha and Ghost's marriage, and Tasha said, because she's a bitch. And Proctor says if they can prove that your marriage was a business arrangement at this point, she could be able to break spousal privilege. And Terry says Angela will argue that you're more of an accomplice than a wife. She can force you to testify against James, and if you refuse, she can prosecute you too. And Tasha says, so now this bitch is coming after me. I fucking knew this shit. Proctor says from now on, no talking to anyone without us present. And that goes for the both of you. So on the way out, he says to Terry that they have to get Ghost DNA thrown out because Tasha has 3 very good reasons to snitch on this nigga, meaning her kids. So Tasha tells Keisha that she'll protect her and that they ain't getting shit out of her. We see Tony Teresi in his jail cell being handed a bag of noodles by a security guard, but really on the inside, surrounded by the noodles, is flip phone. He gets on the phone, calls his man Sammy, and asks did he get any information on Tommy Egan. Sammy tells him that Tommy is a boss and came up with someone named Ghost, but he really doesn't have that much information on Ghost. So then we see John, who is pissed that Sandoval and Sax couldn't get anything out of Dre and Julio. Angela tells him that her interview with Keisha went well and that she can make a convincing argument to break spousal privilege, but doesn't think that's the route to go. John wants the option to call Tasha as a witness because the jury will eat it up. Angela says, I'm not sure she will talk. And Sandoval says, but Proctor won't be sure either, so it's pressure. Angela says, if we put her on the stand and she doesn't talk, will we go through with it? The kids are blameless, John. Is that our goal, to put them in the system? And John says our goal is to put a murderer in jail. He should have thought about his kids before he pulled the trigger. And Sandoval is sitting there feeling guilty because he know he's the real motherfucking killer. John says to Angela, you know St. Patrick, did he do it or not? Angela says he did it. I hate that bitch. And John says then his kids are collateral damage, not our concern. Tommy goes to the warehouse and sees that the workers are moving his products and shit all around. He's pissed off, and Patar tells him that Julio is nowhere to be found, and he just heard they're getting their first shipment in 2 days, and he stresses that they can't have any mistakes. Chicago is still pissed that Ghost legal woes aren't over. Tommy tells him to relax and that he got this. Patar also tells him that Chicago expects them to keep running product through the club, no exceptions. So Rain is coming down the steps at school when she gets a group text showing an article on Ghost saying he's facing the death penalty. So she all in her feelings. And that little goofy ass white boy, that little old Justin Timberlake looking motherfucker, says your dad didn't mention murder on career day. And Raina says, shut up, Ethan. And Tariq comes out of nowhere and slams the little motherfucker up against the wall. And Raina's like, Tariq, let him go. Let him go. Really? Okay. So Tariq tells her to tell the office that he went home sick, and then he like jump at one of the other little white boys, and the little boy jump back, and then we see Raina following him outside saying, Tariq, wait, Tariq, wait. And when Tariq keep on walking, and then we see a paparazzi across the street taking photos of Raina while she's crying. Terry and Proctor question Ghost, and Terry asks if your DNA was planted, and Ghost says no, not if it was. Terry says, did you have any contact with Agent Knox before or after you broke into his apartment? Ghost tells him that Greg pulled him over after and slammed him up against his car, and that Angela knew about it the next day. Ghost says, oh my God, holy fuck me in the ass. That's how they got my DNA when he put his hands on me. And I'm like, it took y'all to episode 3 to have him realize that's how they got his DNA. Come the fuck on. This part was so fucking stupid. Because he would have realized that episode 1 when they told him they had his fucking DNA. That would have been the first thing he thought of. Oh, he got my DNA because he pulled me over. This part was stupid. But alright. Terry says, look at the prosecution's timeline of Agent Knox's whereabouts that day. He went to Ruiz's crime scene, the office, and he called and visited someone named Bailey Markham. No mention of the traffic stop. Proctor says even though Valdez knew it, happened. I think I know how we can get the DNA thrown out. Have your investigators find any record of any pullover if they can. So Sandoval and John interview Bailey about Greg coming to see him the day of his murder. Bailey says that he was suspicious of St. Patrick and Egan. John says suspicious. They were working together. He gave Egan the inside info. So Bailey says, you're committed to this bullshit about Knox being the mole. He called me that night because he could prove that Valdez was Lobo's side man. Why did he call you? He looks over at Sandoval. John says, we have evidence that implicates Greg as the leak. Bailey says, Valdez helped St. Patrick and Egan before. Hasn't she? Like, dumb motherfuckers. Why y'all ain't looking at this crooked ass bitch? So John says, we're here to put away St. Patrick as long as we get the win. What does the story matter? And Bailey says, truth matters. I can help you make your case against St. Patrick if you investigate Valdez as the mole. John says, I can't make that promise. And Bailey says, well, I ain't got nothing else to say, homegirl. Like, I'm out this bitch. I like Bailey. I like Bailey a lot because it's Bailey on the motherfucker that got some sense and speaking the motherfucking truth. Tommy is at Keisha's apartment eating Chinese food, and she tells him what Proctor said about Angela trying to make Tasha testify against Ghost in court. Keisha says, you know, if they make her do that, she gonna give us up to protect her kids. And Tommy says she wouldn't do that, but Keisha is still stressed out. I'm like, yo, weak ass, huh? Tommy then, as he hugs her, decides in his mind that he's going to make sure that Proctor does everything in his power to make sure that Tasha does not have to testify against Ghost. So Kanan is making him and Tariq a cup of lean at his apartment. Tariq tells him about Ghost facing the death penalty and Tasha not telling them, once again further pushing him away from his parents. So Kanan says, you got to take care of you. You ready to do some work? And he says yes. And I'm like, also, this nigga about to be little mini Ghost on a life of crime, even though he has all of the world at his feet. But all right. Bailey, he goes to Angela's office to see her, and he introduces himself as Greg's friend. He says, I saw you at Greg's funeral. It was like you didn't want anyone to see you. And Angela says, yeah, I didn't know if Greg's family wanted to see me. So Bailey says, I don't know if they blame you, but I do. I was like, come on, Bailey. And he blames her for Greg going after St. Patrick. Angela says she's going to do whatever she has to do to get justice for Greg. And Bailey says that you should clear his name by admitting you're the mole. Angela, of course, denies she the mole because she isn't. And Bailey says, you testify against St. Patrick. I'll testify about Greg trying to nail you both. You go to jail. St. Patrick gets the needle. Everyone gets what the fuck they want. Dre is in Ghost's office as Julio girlfriend Sue and this white bitch is putting pills in the matchboxes. So Julio comes in and tells him that they have way too much heat on them at the club, so he's shutting down the moving product. This will, of course, eventually get him replaced by Dre as the distro, because Tommy will grow more and more distrustful of his decision making and his moves at this point. Julio and Sue leave out, and Dre tells the blind to keep prepping the pills and to not tell anyone, especially Sue. You see Bailey at the pier talking to Sax, and he tells him that Greg got Egan confessing killing Lobos with Ghost on tape. They argue back and forth about whether the tape is useful or not. Bailey stresses that Greg isn't the mole. Tony Teresi slides up on Ghost in jail and says, you're hiding how tough you are. You snap Biscuit's wrists. Can't no candy ass businessman do that, right, Ghost? You and Tommy Egan came up together pushing drugs together. And Ghost like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about, fam. Tony says, then you won't mind if I go to that chink prosecutor. I got proof that you're Ghost. And Ghost feels like his back is up against the wall and says, what proof? And Tony says, I ain't telling you shit. You either gonna pay me and I keep my mouth shut, or you ain't. And Ghost say, what's your fucking price? Tony says 20 G's to this address every week, and I want Egan to make the drop. Once again, he's Tommy's daddy. But being Tommy daddy or not, he still got to get that money to get to his wife so she can get this experimental drugs to see if this cancer that she has can be gone the fuck away. Tommy then meets with Proctor about the feds coming down on them, and Proctor tells him that everything will be fine. Tommy pressures him to protect Tasha, the kids, and Keisha. Proctor says, make sure she don't know anything about your drug business because she's a weak link. Once again, pushing the narrative that Keisha ass is gonna break and end up telling on them, because Keisha gonna want to save her own motherfucking ass. Proctor gives Terry a list of people the prosecutors are trying to use to testify against Ghost. Terry questions why he met with Tommy in the first place. And Proctor says, I represented him before James. And Terry says, if you represented Egan, you can't represent St. Patrick. That's a clear conflict of interest. And I'm like, well, look at here, motherfucker. Your ass needs to get up off this case. Because you asking too many motherfucking questions, Terry. Old brown noser. Sambo ass nigga. Shit, I'm like, Proctor, why you bring this old by the book ass nigga on this damn case? You know we can't have no old straight lace motherfuckers working with you. Terry starts to wonder why Proctor is so invested in Ghost and Tommy. Like, he's starting to piece some shit together. This shit ain't all clean. He tells Proctor that Ghost could be lying to him about this surveillance footage. And Proctor says, if James said the traffic stop happened, it happened, so find me the proof. Ghost tells Proctor to find out any information on Tony Teresi. Proctor don't want to do it because, you know, eyes is on him. The block is hot and shit. He like, nigga, we gotta slow this shit down. But Ghost tells him that Tony knows who he is. So he like, fuck. Terry then comes in and sees them talking to each other on the low, and he really is starting to be suspicious of these two motherfuckers. So Angela then walks her ass in requesting a meeting with Ghost alone. And Ghost say, my lawyer say, here Angela, I don't trust you, bitch. Why are you here? Angela says, confess to killing Greg. Give us Tommy for the Lobos murder, and I promise I will get your sentence reduced as much as I can. And Ghost says, I won't confess to something I didn't do. And she says, Jamie, we'll break spousal privilege and force Tasha to testify as your accomplice, and if you refuse, we'll prosecute her. And he looking at her like, you raggedy bitch, you. So Ghost say, I'm being framed. Whoever killed Greg Knox was being careless. You know I'm not careless. And Proctor and Terry like, nigga, shut the fuck up. Why are you telling this bitch all this shit? Like, I know y'all was bosom buddies at one point. Nigga, you can't tell this evil ass bitch shit. Angela says, stop it. Stop lying. You did it. I know you did it. Spare your wife and your kids all the pain you're causing them. Like, all of a sudden you give a fuck about his wife and kids, bitch. Alright. So Ghost says, I'm only thinking about them, my family. Like, checkmate, bitch. Ain't nobody thinking about you. I ain't thinking about you. Sorry. You. So Angela says, we both know when you want something, your family doesn't matter. No one matters but you. And I was like, well, shit, bitch, that was the truth. Because you know this nigga is selfish. Then she get her pale ass up and leave. So Proctor say, this is bullshit. She doesn't have the authority to make that kind of deal. Terry was like, nigga, you better take the deal. Tell that nigga, I don't know what the fuck. Proctor basically tell him shut the fuck up and tell Ghost, don't listen to that bitch. It's bullshit. So him and Terry leave, and Terry stresses to Proctor that they're gonna lose and that Ghost needs to turn on Tommy. So Tommy prepares for the first night of sales. They got the shipment in. So Dre comes in and tells him that Julio shut down services at the club and that the feds kept him way longer than they kept Dre. Tommy tells him he already knew that, but secretly on the inside, he's starting to really question Julio's loyalty and wondered did Julio flip on them. So Charlie Murphy then hands Ghost the paper and says, blame it on bad parenting. And on the front we see Raina on the front page of the newspaper crying her little heart out. And Ghost drops the damn paper and walks off. So Tariq is at his little white friend house and he gives Kanan the elevator code to come in the building so he can rob the little fuck ass boy from his school, Ethan, apartment. So Ghost calls Tasha from jail and tells her that he saw the paper, and she's just not beat for this nigga. She don't want to talk to him. She's just over this nigga. Raina is sitting by her side in motherfucking tears and shit. And so he asks to speak to Raina, and she gets on the phone and she's like, Daddy, I'm sorry. Now this part got me. That broke me. I kind of teared up. He tears up and he was like, it's not your fault. And then she's like, Daddy, are you gonna die? He's like, I'm not gonna die. Can't nobody kill me. And then Tasha take back the phone and he tell Tasha, you know, thanks. And she like, bye, James. Like, nigga, ain't nobody tripping off you. I hate your ass. Sandoval rolls up on Bailey at this bar. He says, there's something I couldn't tell you the other day in front of John. The night Greg died, he called me and told me his theory that Valdez is the mole and she'd been aiding St. Patrick and Egan all along. I never believed Greg was the mole, but John won't listen. So Bailey tells him he has evidence that suggests Greg wasn't killed because he was the mole, but it's admissible in court. Sandoval says, what is it? Maybe I can look around. Bailey and Sandoval then make a plan to work together, but when Sandoval leaves, we see Bailey get back onto the computer, and we see that he is low-key investigating Sandoval. I was like, come on, Bailey. So Proctor tells Ghost about Tony. He was with a crew back in the day and ran the hit squad. He's a notorious killer. Ghost then tells him, look, take this address from underneath my sleeve, because I need you to give this to Tommy so you can go drop off the money that this nigga is trying to extort me for. Proctor don't really want to do it, but he like, alright. Ghost at this point is breaking and asks how long will Angela's deal be on the table. Proctor's like, I swear we gonna make it through this. Don't agree to anything. We got this. In court, we see Terry come in late and hands Proctor a drive. Proctor then presents evidence of a traffic stop between Ghost and Knox on the day he was killed. John tries to get it dismissed, but Proctor has cell phone data proving that they were in the area that day and that the footage is not altered or fake. The footage is shown and John is stunned. Proctor says they're claiming that Mr. St. Patrick's DNA under Knox's nails came from a struggle during his murder, when in truth it came from Knox's illegal traffic stop of my client. The judge says, I'll admit the video into evidence, but I won't throw out the DNA. Proctor says, I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's not that simple. AUSA Angela Valdez had knowledge of the event and never presented it. This is the second time this bitch has been called in court withheld in evidence, but once again, she doesn't get into trouble. The judge then calls Angela to the bench and asks if it is true. She admits she knew, and John says he knew it too, but they didn't really think much of it. The judge is pissed. Proctor tells John, I withdraw you withholding evidence from the jury if you withdraw the DNA. John at this point has no choice but to agree. So the DNA is thrown out. Only thing left on the table is the gun and his fingerprints. So Tommy is at the club having a legal gambling session going on in the basement. And we see a truck being loaded and the feds outside watching said truck being loaded. But they don't trip off of it because their main concern is following Tommy. What they didn't see was that Tommy had been loaded onto the truck in a trunk. So then we see Tommy at the warehouse. They open up the truck and there he is sitting on top of this trunk. Julio like, what the fuck is this about? And Tommy says, you never know who you can trust nowadays. Ain't that right, Julio? And pat him on the back. So John goes to see Angela and apologizes for not believing her about the traffic stop. And then he reinstates her and puts her on the case. Ghost meets with Terry privately and he thanks him for finding the video footage. And him and Terry have a back and forth, and Terry makes it clear that he sees right through Ghost and that he's only there because he's being very well paid. And that he knows what kind of man Ghost is, and that no matter how hard Ghost tries to deny, he knows that he's basically a fuck ass nigga too. And the episode goes off. I give tonight's episode a D-. It was not that good to me. It was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I'm ready for this shit to be moving. I'm ready for the story to move ahead. I saw a clip on YouTube and it was a YouTube commercial, and I saw Tariq getting onto the elevator and him going like this, and it was a girl standing there. Now I don't know if that girl was Raina or if that girl was Tasha. I'm figuring it's gonna be Raina, and I'm figuring it's gonna be on either next week episode or episode after that. But Tariq ass is just basically spiraling out of control, and I'm just over it, and I'm sick of everybody on this fucking show. I hope they can pull it through for the rest of this season, because at this point this show is a bunch of bullshit and it's a bunch of rhetoric, and I'm just over it, and I'm over the favoritism. I keep on stressing that. Only reason why I keep on doing reviews because y'all want to see them for y'all, because other than that, I'm over this show. I really am. It's just bullshit at this point. It's just stupid. I'm tired of them forcing Angela's character down our throat, trying to make her be something that they have not built her up to be. I don't understand what the fuck is going on over there. I don't know who the fuck Lila Loren is fucking. But she is fucking somebody. Obviously she must be fucking Courtney Kip, because this shit is just stupid with this character. Why they keep on trying to redeem her and make her anything more than a snake that they've already presented her as to be? I don't understand. And I'm gonna tell y'all this much. If they Because at this point, we know she's going to eventually help Ghost get out of jail and all that. But if they have Ghost and Angela get back together, I'm officially done reviewing this fucking show. Because that would be fucking stupid as fuck if they have a nigga like him take her ass back. Ain't no real street hood ass nigga gonna fuck with a bitch like her ever again in life. Hell, a nigga like him, when he get out of jail, gonna have somebody kill her ass. Fuck that. So if they put them back together, I'm done with this show. Won't expect, I don't give a fuck how much money I make off this son of a bitch off YouTube. I will not review this bitch no more. So that's my review. Be on the lookout for this wig review no later than Tuesday. I love this wig. Oh my god. I have another wig review that I'll be doing next week. Oh my god, I'm so in love with this wig. If you have a question for me and Monique's advice show, Since You Asked, please email us at since-you-asked1@gmail.com. I love you guys so much, and I will see you all next week. And please let me know down below in the comment section what you thought about tonight's episode. And make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell button so you can know when my videos drop. Love you, kittens. Bye.